In recent years, the Mediterranean Sea has developed into a graveyard for the innumerable refugees and asylum seekers who have traveled through it, leaving behind terrible stories of dangerous trips and fatal endings. The narrative that explains why people embark on such dangerous treks contains a web of intricate socio-political forces, the plight of the poor, and a frantic yearning for safety that compels individuals to take such risks. This article investigates the factors that contribute to the ongoing human tragedy and recounts personal experiences in order to give insight on the current predicament. Desperation and the need to flee war-torn countries are the driving forces behind the departure of thousands of people from countries such as Syria, Libya, Eritrea, and Sudan on risky sea trips. These people are fleeing bloodshed, persecution, and economic destitution in their home countries. People are forced to relocate because of war-torn countries and autocratic regimes, leaving them with no other option but to undertake perilous journeys in search of safety. Smuggling people and organized crime. The thriving industry of human smuggling makes it possible for people to undertake dangerous travels. Smugglers prey on vulnerable people in order to line their own wallets at the expense of innocent lives. Migrants, who can only pay exorbitant costs, become victims of smugglers who squeeze them onto undersized and ill-equipped vessels and leave them adrift in the unpredictability of the Mediterranean waters. Smugglers also charge migrants more than they can possibly afford. Vessels that are overloaded and unseaworthy. Desperation drives migrants to board vessels that are already overloaded, and these boats are frequently in a state where they are not seaworthy. The lack of preventative safety measures, such as life jackets and navigational aids, makes the possibility of a catastrophe even more likely. These frail vessels are incapable of withstanding the severe sea conditions, which results in them toppling over and sinking, which in turn results in the premature deaths of innocent individuals. The inefficiency of search and rescue operations. In recent years, there has been a drop in the number of search and rescue operations, which has led to an increase in the number of casualties. Fewer warships now cruise the Mediterranean in an effort to save lives as a direct result of more stringent immigration restrictions and limited resources given to rescue missions. Because of this, migrant boats are frequently left adrift at sea for extended periods of time, leaving those on board without any hope or aid in a timely manner. Alternative routes and deadly trajectories. The migratory agreement that the European Union and Turkey reached in 2016 largely reduced migratory flows via the Aegean Sea. However, this has led to the emergence of a number of dangerous alternative routes. As a direct consequence of this, an increased number of migrants attempted to cross the central Mediterranean route, which begins in Libya and ends in either Italy or Malta. This route, which frequently covers more than 400 kilometers, exacerbates the inherent risks of the voyage, which ultimately results in a large number of fatalities. Individual registrations. Let's take a deeper look at two different personal narratives that exemplify the tragedy that is the migrant crisis in order to get a sense of the searing reality of the situation. The life and travels of Muhammad. Muhammad, a Syrian man of 29 years old, escaped the destruction of Aleppo in the hopes of finding refuge and a brighter future for himself and his family. After watching his loved ones perish in the bloody conflict, he made a frantic attempt to find safety in Europe. When Muhammad boarded a deteriorating sailboat that originated in Libya, he put his life in the hands of criminals. The boat, which was carrying over 100 people at the time, sank as a result of deteriorating weather conditions and very overcrowded conditions. While Muhammad was fighting for his life amidst the turbulent waves, he watched as his dreams and the dreams of his fellow travelers were consumed by the void. Sarah, a woman from Eritrea who was 29 years old at the time, set out on her perilous voyage in the hopes of escaping the terrible authority of her country. She was one of 60 migrants who boarded an unseaworthy dinghy off the coast of Libya and set sail for Europe. The ship started taking on water slowly, putting the passengers in danger because they were exposed to the elements. They floated for 3 days without food or water, with optimism gradually dwindling as the time passed. There were only a few people who made it through, and Sarah was one of the lucky ones. She and the other people who survived the ordeal were brought to safety, but they will all carry the mental and emotional scars of their ordeal for the rest of their lives. The precarious situation that many people in search of safety and a better life have been forced to undergo is vividly brought to mind by the current migrant crisis in the Mediterranean. The heartbreaking number of lives that have been lost in the Mediterranean region necessitates prompt and all-encompassing action because it is rooted in the junction of political, social, and humanitarian concerns. To put an end to this unending tragedy and offer a glimpse of hope to those who are willing to risk everything for their freedom and lives, it is imperative that steps be taken to combat human smuggling, enhance search and rescue efforts, and address the underlying causes of migration.